treason.
But Woodward and Costa tell ABC they believe General Milley's actions were not treasonous.
He talked to the chiefs, the head of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and said, full time, watch everything. And then he called the admiral in charge of the region in the Pacific and asked him to cancel operations that the Chinese might see as somewhat provocative. And so there's nothing hidden about this.
Top U.S. defense officials have also come out in recent days saying that Milley's communications with the Chinese general were completely appropriate and above board. Trump, in addition to labeling Milley's communication treasonous, has also called the general a dumbass and a weak and ineffective leader. Milley, for his part, will get a chance to answer a lot of questions regarding his actions in the final days of Trump's presidency in a hearing next week before the Senate Armed Services Committee. Brian Todd, CNN, Washington.
And I'm Rosemary Church. Early Start is up next. Have yourselves a wonderful day.
One evening as the sun went down, the jungle fire was burning. Down the track came right. Said, boys, I'm not turning. I'm headed for a land that's far away.
It's a multi-flex tailgate. It can be a step. It can even become a workspace.
Mr. Pat.
What's so great about him? He didn't have a workspace.
The Chevy Silverado with the available multi-flex tailgate. Find new adventures. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Selling a home is expensive and stressful, so we set out to create a better home selling experience with a network of the most successful real estate agents in America that'll sell your home for as little as a 2% commission.
The icing on the cake with the Ideal Agent was that we saved $12,000 in commission.
We would definitely use Ideal Agent again. The whole process was so positive for us.
Excellent service.
Getting right to the point, hiring Ideal Agent, I wish we would have done that sooner, and we would have saved 6 months of time and mortgage payments that would have probably never happened if we would have just gone with them first.
They were so stress-free. The whole process was amazing, and I would definitely recommend them.
We certainly recommend Ideal Agent now to all of our family, all of our friends. It's just a great experience.
We are not a discount brokerage. These are top local agents that'll get you the best results.
Tony here from CreditRepair.com. Take it to the streets to talk about credit. Can you repair your credit yourself?
Yes.
Great. How? How long does credit repair take?
I don't know, like 10 years.
What? Are you insane? What's a good credit score? Go.
600.
Maybe if you're trying to pay thousands extra in interest rates. Cut the confusion. Get started with a free credit evaluation at CreditRepair.com.
What happens if you discover that everything you knew about yourself was a lie? Wouldn't you want to know the truth?
It's hard to believe that Brava can go from 0 to 500 degrees in under 1 second. Or that it precisely cooks 3 different ingredients at the same time. It's hard to believe that Brava tells you when your perfectly seared steaks are ready. Or that it roasts a whole chicken in half the time. But seeing is believing. And when you cook with Pure Light, the difference is as clear as day. See for yourself at Brava.com.
At Finger Hut, we don't define you by your credit score. We celebrate you being you. So we offer low monthly payments on the stuff you need, things you love, and brands you trust. As you build your credit history with a Finger Hut credit account. If you're looking for the latest electronics, kitchen essentials, clothes, toys, and more, you'll find it all at Finger Hut. You do you, and we'll help build your credit at fingerhut.com.
Finger Hut credit accounts are issued by WebBank, member FDIC. CNN Special Report. Toxic. Britney Spears' Battle for Freedom. Sunday at 8.
Good morning,
everyone. It's Tuesday, September 21st. It's 5 a.m. here in New York. Thanks for getting an early start with us. I'm Laura Jarrett.
And I'm Christine Romans. Welcome to our viewers in the United States and all around the world. We have reports this morning from Kabul, Atlanta, and Mexico, but we start in Washington because the next 48 hours could make or break President Biden's agenda. The first order of business, keeping the government running. The House is expected to vote today on a short-term funding bill. This is critical. It includes a suspension of the debt limit through 2022, aka the midterm elections.
Meanwhile, the Biden agenda is running into political road
period of time to get it done. Their first thing that they're trying to knock off the to-do list is passing these two big spending bills that are key components to the Biden agenda, that $1.5 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal, and then that $3.5 trillion human infrastructure social safety net spending plan. Of course, those two pieces of legislation are tied together, and right now Democrats are fighting over the best way to get them over the finish line. Some moderate Democrats would like to just pass the bipartisan. Get that out of the way and then work on the broader reconciliation package. But progressives have said they're not voting for the bipartisan deal unless they get that big $3.5 trillion spending plan done as well. So right now, the plan is to vote on at least a bipartisan deal as soon as next week. But the question is, will the bill, the big reconciliation package, the $3.5 trillion deal, be ready to be passed in the Senate as well? That could hold the whole process up. Now, as if that weren't enough, there's also two other huge agenda items. So now what Democrats are attempting to do is tie the extension of spending, that continuing resolution on spending, to the debt limit bill.
Should Republicans careen our country towards a default, our country could actually be plunged into recession, laying off millions, making it harder for people to pay for the food on the table and their mortgages and their rents.
They're daring Republicans to vote no on a piece of legislation that would essentially shut the government down if it's not passed. And it's not just funding the basic needs of government that would be included in this bill. There's also a significant amount of spending for things like disaster relief after the recent hurricanes. And Chuck Schumer is making the calculated bet that there's at least 10 Republicans who are impacted enough by this spending that they're not going to play Russian roulette with this and not vote for the spending bill, even though it's tied to the debt limit. It is a risky proposition, and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has said that his Republicans will not vote for the debt limit under any circumstances. That's going to play out in earnest here over the next couple of weeks, in addition to all this conversation about that big spending package that has to do with the Biden agenda that Democrats.
Ryan, thank you so much for that. Christine, can you just explain in layman's terms what happens if Congress does not raise the debt limit?
Senior citizens, maybe 50 million senior citizens, would not get a Social Security check, or it would be delayed. That child tax credit that's been going into people's paychecks or into their bank accounts would be stopped, and you wouldn't be able to pay the troops right away. So, I mean, this is paying America's bills. It's really dangerous to play with this stuff. And Washington sometimes uses the debt limit in its process. You know, you'll hear Republicans talk about they want to constrain future spending by not raising our credit card limit. This is money that has already been spent. These are bills that have to be paid. America doesn't default on its obligations to its citizens and certainly to its creditors. So this is it's so important. It can sound like Washington process,
but really everyday people will suffer.
Real world examples, yeah. And you've got the Treasury Secretary right now who is moving the money in the bank accounts, trying to make sure everybody is still paid because we've already reached this limit. So it's really important. Really important.
Thank you for that, Chief Business Correspondent. All right, later this morning, world leaders will address the UN General Assembly. Traditionally, Brazil goes first. But its unvaccinated president says he plans to speak despite UN rules that require proof of vaccination. Jair Bolsonaro appeared to clam up when British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, a fellow coronavirus survivor, urged him to get the vaccine.
President Biden will make his debut on the UNGA stage this morning. CNN's Nick Robertson is live in Kabul for us. And Nick, we'll talk about Afghanistan in just a moment. There are many crises facing world leaders this week. The climate, vaccine diplomacy. Another is this U.S. spat with France. They're so upset about losing that Australian submarine deal to counter China. Listen.
What matters now is, first of all, the breach of the trust between partners. Because trust, partners, and alliance means transparency, predictability. It requires explanation. It is about talking to one another, not hiding from one another.
I mean, the French are very angry here. What is President Biden's main goal here today on this world stage?
Yeah, it's to sort of alert the world to the United States foreign policy agenda. I think the world, the French included, everyone thought they'd got a read of that back in February. You know, when President Biden gave his big foreign policy speech then. But as you say, so much has changed. Afghanistan has happened. This breakup with relations with France has happened. There's so much playing. Into it. So I think for other leaders tuning in, this is a real moment to see, okay, how does President Biden frame this? You know, he's going to talk to Emmanuel Macron separately about the relationship with
this week.
The chaotic pullout was really a detractor in terms of international relations. Diplomatic relations and support for the United States. It's not a deal breaker, but it really needs international support. Not the Taliban, Afghanistan, the people here need that international support in terms of humanitarian. But U.S. policy going forward,